I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.
Hello there, Price of Reason here with a special report. In 2017, Amazon executive chairman Jeff Bezos said that he wanted his own Game of Thrones type flagship series for his Prime Video service, so Amazon came up with the perfect solution. They'd spend $250 million on securing the rights to make their own J.R.R. Tolkien series, and also give its first season a budget of $468 million, bringing their total initial spending to $718 million. Their new show, now called Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, would take place thousands of years before the events of Tolkien's The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. At the time of the announcement, many people had wondered if Peter Jackson, who directed both the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, would possibly oversee or at least consult on the new series. After all, given his extensive experience with Tolkien, and that Amazon's series was seemingly a prequel to his successful screen adaptations, it would only make sense to bring Jackson on board. Well now, based on a new interview in the Hollywood Reporter, it turns out that Amazon had actually initially reached out to Peter Jackson and offered him to be involved in the project. According to Jackson, he was even open to the idea, but asked to see the scripts that they had been working on. At the time, Amazon said that the scripts weren't ready yet, but as soon as they were, they'd immediately send them over to Jackson. However, after that conversation, Jackson never heard from Amazon again. According to Jackson, after their initial talks, they suddenly ghosted him. Now this is very strange. Why reach out and then snub a well-liked, well-respected industry veteran like Peter Jackson, who has a real track record with Tolkien adaptations? Would he not be the ideal candidate for such a project? Especially one that they were spending at least $718 million on. Apparently not. But you know what's even stranger? You know who they didn't ghost? That's right, instead of Jackson, they ended up calling none other than Hollywood's most well-known franchise killer, J.J. Abrams, asking him for his professional advice. JJ then told them that they needed to hire writers J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay as showrunners for their new Lord of the Rings show, even though the two had no IMDb credits. You see, he was familiar with Payne and McKay because they had done some uncredited writing for Star Trek Beyond, a box office disappointment that halted the release of any further Star Trek movies to this very day. Well, faced with such a dilemma, it would only make sense for Amazon to go back to Jackson. Even if Amazon didn't think that J.J. Abrams was an overrated hack, which he is, why not work with Peter Jackson, the best candidate possible? According to the Hollywood Reporter, Amazon says that the answer isn't simple at all. But to me, I think the answer couldn't be more clear. If you recall, while bringing his adaptations to the screen, Peter Jackson had said that he was careful not to incorporate his own modern-day politics and ideologies into his Tolkien movies because he wanted to stay true to Tolkien's work. This is likely what didn't work for Amazon because it turns out that they wanted to infuse their new project with more trendy topics such as feminism and identity politics. By hiring two inexperienced people, Amazon executives would be in full creative control, free to inject whatever messages they wanted, without any interference from these two no-names who were just thankful to even be there at all. On September 2nd, 2022, with the release of Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, the world will finally be able to see Amazon's final $718 million result. And if the promotional material we've seen till now is anything to go by, it looks like it's going to be an unprecedented disaster. The Galadriel character, who was memorably played by Cate Blanchett in Peter Jackson's movies, is now a warrior for some reason, and of course, a better warrior than all the men around her. and the show apparently will also address topical themes such as modern-day race relations, so that it can represent the current world that we live in. So basically, what was once a beloved work of escapist fantasy literature and movies will now be a 2020 social lecture to viewers, and just based on the amount of ratios we're seeing online these days and poor reception from its trailers, Amazon Rings of Power could possibly end up going down in history as one of the biggest entertainment blunders of all time. What do you think about the upcoming Amazon Rings of Power show? Are you excited to see the new Galadriel? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And please consider subscribing to my channel and also clicking on that wonderful notification bell. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.